Okay, so what in the world do mustard seeds, unthanked servants, and 10 healed lepers have to do with a final judgment that strikes like a bolt of lightning? Well, in this incredible passage from the Gospel of Luke, all of these seemingly random ideas are woven together into one powerful, challenging message. Let's pull on the threads and see how it all connects.
It all kicks off with this really raw, really relatable plea. After a tough teaching from Jesus, the apostles basically just turn to him and say, "Increase our faith." They feel like they just don't have enough gas in the tank to do what he's asking. And that's a feeling we all know, right? How do I get more faith? But Jesus' answer? Well, it's not at all what they were expecting.
So here's our game plan for this explainer. We're going to start with the mustard seed to figure out what faith even is. Then we'll look at how it's actually practiced through duty, and we'll see it put to the test with the story of the 10 lepers. All of this is building to a huge revelation about the kingdom of God before it all ends with this really stark warning about a sudden final reckoning.
All right, first up, the mustard seed principle. So the apostles, they ask for more faith, right? They're thinking in terms of quantity. But Jesus just immediately flips the script on them. He suggests they're asking the wrong question entirely.
I mean, think about the scale of this for a second. A mustard seed is tiny. A mulberry tree, on the other hand, has these incredibly deep, stubborn roots. Ripping it out of the ground and tossing it into the sea it's absurdly impossible. But Jesus isn't saying you need big faith for big things. He's saying that even the tiniest spark of real, genuine faith can tap into a power that changes the world. The focus isn't on the amount of faith you have, but the kind of faith it is.
And that's really the core takeaway here. Faith isn't something you can just stockpile, like money in a bank account. It's a catalyst. It's the active ingredient that kicks off a reaction and makes the impossible happen. It's not about how much you've got, but simply that you have it and you're willing to act on it.
Okay, so if faith is this powerful catalyst, what does that actually look like day to day? Well, the passage immediately grounds this huge potential in two very concrete, very practical actions: radical forgiveness and humble duty.
Now, this is the very teaching that made the apostles ask for more faith in the first place. And you can see why, right? Forgiving someone who keeps wronging you 7 times in one day? That feels superhuman. It sounds like you need this massive reserve of spiritual energy. But Jesus presents this as just the basic nuts and bolts work of faith. It's a discipline. It's a practice.
And then, right after that, Jesus tells this really interesting little parable. Imagine a servant who works in the fields all day. He comes inside exhausted, and his master expects him to make and serve dinner before he can even think about eating himself, and the master doesn't thank him. Why? Because the servant was just doing his job. And the punchline is, that's supposed to be our attitude.
This just illustrates the point so perfectly. The practice of faith, forgiving people, serving others, it's not about earning brownie points or getting some special reward from God. It's not extra credit. It's just our duty. It is the baseline expectation for anyone who has faith. You do it because it's what you're called to do, period. So we've got the theory down. Faith is a catalyst, and you practice it through duty. Now the text gives us this incredible case study to see what this looks like in the real world. And that's the story of the 10 lepers. So the story kicks off with 10 lepers. They call out to Jesus for mercy, and he tells them, "Go show yourselves to the priests." Now that right there was an act of faith. They had to start walking on his word alone before they saw any change. And sure enough, on their way, all 10 of them were cleansed. A 100% success rate. Amazing.
But here's where the story pivots. 10 were healed, but only 1 came back. Just 1 out of the 10 actually turned around to fall at Jesus' feet and say thank you. The other 9? They just kept going. They got what they came for and went on with their lives.
And Luke drops this critical detail on us. The one person who came back wasn't one of the insiders. He was a Samaritan, seen as a foreigner, an outsider. He goes beyond just doing his duty. He wasn't required to come back, but he did. He didn't see his healing as something he was owed. He saw it as this incredible gift that demanded a response of pure gratitude. And this is the key line in the whole story. Jesus says to the Samaritan, "Your faith has made you well." And you might think, wait a minute, weren't all 10 of them made well? And yes, physically, they were all healed. But the Greek word that's used here for made well can also mean saved or made whole. The other 9 got a physical benefit, but this man, through his act of grateful faith, he got something deeper. He received a spiritual wholeness. He completed the circuit. So all of this brings us to the real climax of the passage. All these themes we've been talking about, the power of tiny faith, the duty of forgiveness, the vital role of gratitude, they're all about to get tied directly to one of the biggest questions in the entire gospel, the coming of the kingdom of God.
So the Pharisees, the religious leaders, they come to Jesus with a very practical question. They want a timeline. They're looking for signs in the sky, an event they can circle on their calendars. When is this kingdom you keep talking about finally going to show up? And this is where you see the fundamental disconnect. The Pharisees are looking for a big, observable event, a political revolution, a military takeover, something you can point to and say, there it is. But Jesus just completely flips their expectations upside down. He says the kingdom isn't some future event you can watch for, because the kingdom of God is in your midst, or as some translations put it, it's within you.
And that is the whole point. The kingdom of God isn't a place you're waiting to get to. It's a reality that breaks into the here and now. So how do you see it? How do you live in it? You do it through the very things we've just been talking about. By exercising that tiny bit of faith, by forgiving your brother over and over, by doing your duty without expecting a thank you, and by turning back with gratitude. That is what the kingdom looks like when it shows up on earth.
But just as we're getting comfortable with this peaceful idea of an internal kingdom, the tone shifts dramatically. Jesus turns to his disciples and delivers this jarring warning, making it crystal clear that understanding this kingdom isn't just some nice idea. It has urgent life-or-death consequences.
Jesus brings up the days of Noah and Lot. And look at the things he lists: eating, drinking, marrying, buying, selling. These aren't evil things. This is just normal life. It was business as usual right up until the very moment that judgment came out of nowhere and destroyed them all. The warning is pretty clear. There will be no warning. And then he gives this chilling 3-word command: remember Lot's wife. Think about her story. She was being rescued from the city of Sodom, but she looked back, longing for the life she was being forced to leave behind, and she was turned into a pillar of salt. It's this powerful warning against being too attached to our stuff, our status, our old ways of life. When that moment comes, you can't look back. The prophecy gets even more personal, even more immediate. The final separation isn't going to be between nations or armies. It's going to be between 2 people sharing a bed or 2 women working side by side. It will be sudden, it will be personal, and it will be final. It implies that there's this invisible spiritual reality that will one day become very, very visible.
Faced with this absolutely terrifying vision, the disciples ask one last desperate question. And it's the question we all want to ask, isn't it? Where will this happen, Lord? They want specifics, a location, something, anything to help them prepare or maybe even avoid it. Jesus' answer is a cryptic, almost chilling proverb. He doesn't give them a map, he gives them an image. Vultures are drawn to death. The reckoning isn't about a specific place on a map, but a specific spiritual condition: decay. So the final question this passage leaves us with isn't where will it happen? The question is, what kind of life are you cultivating right now? Is it one of duty, forgiveness, and gratitude, the very life of the kingdom? Or is it something else, just waiting for the vultures to gather?